This is everybody's public service announcement. It's never too late to make the switch. It's never too late to do the thing. All you have to do is put yourself out there and just start. Woo! Welcome one, welcome all to your space for everything empowerment. I am your host, Tariq Williams, and not only I am Vision of Hope, but this is a we thing here, everybody. We are Vision of Hope. This is the Speak Your Vision podcast. I am your host. You're here to listen and get empowered. We're going to make it happen today. But I am not here alone, ladies and gentlemen, everyone here. We are not alone today. We're going to learn today. We are going to learn. We're going to expand our minds. We're going to understand resiliency today. We're going to learn a little bit about real estate investing. Okay. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to my guest. We're going to hear about her story, hear about her business, and all the great things she's doing. So without further ado, welcome Vanessa Johnson. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here. You're going to get it today, everyone.
Excellent. Excellent. And it's been so cool just getting to know you for the brief time that we've known each other. And so you're a real estate investor, and I can't wait to educate people about what it is you do, but also get into your story because it's a story and it's unique, and I can't wait to share that with the world and empower everybody here that's going to listen.
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited.
So in the podcast, language is really important to the podcast. So I feel like there's a lot of different misconceptions about real estate investing. So if you, and I don't even know if this is possible or not,
All right.
if you could explain real estate investing in one word, what would it be?
Ooh, ouch. In one word, I have more than one word, but the first word that comes to my mind is wealth.
Wealth. Okay.
Yeah. Not get rich, but build wealth, build legacy.
So
I'm going to change my word to legacy. I like that so much better.
So, you'll get two. I don't typically do that. You'll get two, wealth and legacy. And I think wealth is really interesting for a lot of different reasons. I'll get into that in a moment. But tell me, why wealth? Why legacy?
Because real estate is a tool that people can use in so many different ways. There are, if I just thought on the top of my head, 15 different ways somebody could get into real estate at all different levels, knowing something, knowing nothing, knowing a lot, being passive, being really into every step of the way. There's a lot of opportunity to get into real estate. And the tax benefits that come along with owning properties, right? And the appreciation of the property. And it's just real assets that always increase in value over time that, you can keep in the family and continue to grow. And that's why I say legacy. Like, it's not just for the cash flow that a rental puts in your pocket, but it's the legacy that you're building for your family, for your kids, for your grandkids, for their kids. Yeah, it's a neat tool to be able to dive into and really figure out which part you like, and then you can kind of just play from there.
It's interesting that you say that when you talk about like your family and building that generational wealth and what that might mean. I think a lot of times, I think wealth in a sense, I think we jump to money. And don't get me wrong, it's a part of it. But I think when I think of wealth, I also think about just overall like a well-being that I can provide for myself and those around me. Like, I think there's something to be said about just being okay in your space and what it feels like to not just feel like you're struggling. Would you agree with that?
It's security.
There you go.
It's allowing your family to come from abundance, not scarcity. And I don't even mean in terms of dollars in your bank. I just mean in terms of like mindset. So allowing yourself to see what's available to you in your life. And you don't really need to dedicate your life to it to be able to gain some of the advantages.
I think and I'm really excited to get into your story and how you got here. But before we do that, I think when people think about real estate investing, they immediately think to themselves, I don't have the money to do that.
Yeah.
So why would I
Hmm.
even think about that? Right.
Yeah.
And I think once again, tell me about that. Is that a true thing? Like, do I need a lot of money to be able to be a real estate investor? What does that look
Yeah.
like?
I actually get that question a lot. It is a common misconception. So we use OPM, other people's money. I personally raise private capital, and what that looks like is I tell people what I do and what I'm able to offer them in a situation that looks like them lending me money to purchase and renovate a property. And what I'm able to offer them is a double digit interest return.
Hmm.
So I know that most people that have money sitting in the bank or even no money sitting in the bank are not able to take advantage of a double digit interest return.
Hmm.
So it works really good on both sides. So you could be someone who wants to invest in real estate and flip a house and do something like that if you can learn to harness the power of other people's money and raising capital.
Hmm. Okay. Okay.
And
But
you'd be surprised how many people have money that want to give it to you because their money's dying in a CD somewhere at 4%, and I'm offering 12. So a lot of times what will happen is people are coming to me and saying, "Hey, do you have a space open for me? I have $100,000. I want to give it to you so I can make some real money."
wow. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. And you offer 12. So typically whatever somebody invest in you to be able to flip a property, you typically on average you 12% their money basically.
Average 10 to 12. Yeah, depending on what we can get the property for. So
Mm-hmm.
we purchase for cash under market value. We work direct with sellers.
Okay.
So we're able to really understand what their pain points are and solve for, whatever that looks like in terms of purchasing the house. We can close quickly. There's no realtor costs, no commissions, no attorney fees for them.
Mm.
So we're able to offer them a quick solution. And so, with that being said, in my formula on how I can come up with the offer that I'm able to make to the seller, I factor in that I'm going to be paying someone 12% interest for at least 6 months.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm kind of in a daze in a little bit because I'm just like learning myself here, right? Because I myself, I was like, okay, if I want to be a real estate investor, I have to have money. If I don't have the money to do it, therefore I can't do it. And that is dedicated to the rich people that can do
Ooh,
that.
I love that. Yeah.
But
That's a limiting belief, right? We don't know what we don't know. So I'm really glad that we're having this conversation because you can be someone who raises capital and brings capital to an investor. And now you're a partner in a real estate transaction, and you don't really have to know how to find the deal, find the contractor, you know, uh, escalate the operation of the actual deal. You can just be the person who brings the money.
wow.
Interesting, right?
It's very interesting. So because my listeners and everybody here, I think this is like one of the first conversations we've brought a real estate investor on. I know it is the first one, and I think we're all getting an education right now.
Mm,
So thank you, Vanessa.
of
Um,
course.
but I think I'm still a little bit confused,
Okay.
and after this moment, I want to start getting into how you got here. Okay, but how how do you go to other people's money? How do you meet these other people, right? And what makes them believe that, and don't want to come off as rude here, right? Just being honest, like, how do you show yourself as a credible resource? So I'm John, and I want to be a real estate investor and start doing this. How do I market myself as a credible person to give money to be able to make a house a good investment for them?
This is such a great question, and it ties into how I got into real estate.
Okay.
Because my previous life, I've been an accountant for the last 20 years, a corporate controller for a construction company.
Okay.
And so I don't come from real estate, right? So when I started to build out my lender base, essentially I went to the people who I already know, who already trust me, who are already in my sphere, right?
Okay.
And I
What?
just let them know.
And when you say lender base, that is
Oh, that's
define that. Yeah.
that's my those are my peeps. Those are my people who are lending me money on a regular basis. I have a spreadsheet that keeps track of like who lent to me, how much, what project is it for, what date did I receive the funds, what interest, and because we have to track because when we close on the property, we pay them back in full with their interest.
Got
So
it.
I'm a spreadsheet girl, so that's just part of the process on there. But yeah, I just started talking about it. This is what I'm doing. I'm learning how to flip houses. I joined a mentorship and a coaching program, so I'm being coached by professional, people who are like elite status in the industry. And my goal is to flip, last year my goal was to flip 25 houses. And I just put the messages out there like, "Hi, my name's Vanessa. I'm a real estate investor. I pay double-digit returns for private lenders who want to work with me. Do you know anyone? Do you know anyone who'd be interested in earning double-digit returns?" So I'm not really putting it on you, John. I'm putting it on like, "Hey, do you know anybody that would be interested in getting 12%?" And more often than not, it was people that I know. And then it grew to social media. Honestly, I get a lot of people on Instagram in my DMs like, "I have 100 grand, I have 200 grand. How do I work with you?" Yeah, it's
Wow.
grown not over that much of a long period of time. And that wasn't English, but I started last April, so we haven't even hit a full year yet. And I mean, the momentum of just posting and talking about what we're doing and showing behind the scenes and really just creating authority in the space has just magnetized people to me as someone who has integrity. I know what I'm doing. I'm speaking my truth. Like you're seeing how I operate. And I think I'm just attracting the people that I am like, and they
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
work with me, you know?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, this is everybody's public service announcement, okay? That it's never too late to make the switch. It's never too late to do the thing. All you have to do is put yourself out there and just start.
Yes. Yes. I left accounting. I started in bookkeeping when I was 17, worked
Mm,
my way through college as a single parent, got my degree in accounting, worked for the
wow.
same, I mean, I quit accounting when I was 41. I'm 42. It's never too late. It's
Wow.
only too late if you say it is. You only can't do it if you say you can't.
I'm a
You
big
don't.
hey, whether you believe you can or can't, either way you're gonna be
Yeah.
right.
Yep, absolutely. Once we declare what we actually want, we get out of our own way, we can truly live the life that we want to live.
So you said that you were in accounting for how long?
God, I'm really old. So over 20 years.
You're not. You're
I'm
not.
feeling it.
Absolutely not.
I'm feeling it when I'm
Absolutely
throwing these age numbers out there. Yeah,
not.
over 20 years.
So, okay, you were in accounting for 20 years. What made you even get into tell me how you got your start. Like why did you
Right.
start doing bookkeeping? Let's start there. How did that
Okay.
happen?
I'll start with bookkeeping. I've always really liked math.
Wow.
I know, weirdo.
You're the only one
The
here.
only
Yeah.
person I know. I identify as the only person who really loved math and spreadsheets. It just makes sense to me. Um, I got a job in an office, answering phones when I was in high school, and I just kept progressively getting more and more responsibilities until next thing I knew, I was the bookkeeper and I was running the finances. And I just kind of stuck with. So I was in college originally for nutrition,
Mhm.
and I pivoted because the controller at the job I was working at was making 3 times what I made, and I was doing all the work. So I was like, there's something here. This stuff makes sense. It's easy. I can do it.
Yeah.
If I had the degree and took the position, I would be making,
Th- th-
multiple
th-
six figures.
this math isn't mathing because you're working hard, but yet
Exactly.
somebody
Thank
else
you.
is doing something I think
Thank
is
you.
easier and they're making more money than me. What's going on?
Exactly. You literally be like, print me out these reports, explain to me what they mean so I can go present them. And I was living in a small, I was feeling small and not realizing that I was living small. So I was just like,
Mhm.
okay, you can go take the credit for the things that I'm up to.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. You
So
know, go ahead, keep
I
going.
was gonna say I never loved it, like the job itself. I only really found it exciting when there was challenges to overcome and when I was able to actually be impactful,
Mhm.
which is what happened at the last place I worked. I was there for 8 years, and I
Yeah,
started.
I really want to get into those challenges because, like, when I think about my life in terms of like the blindness and everything, I thought that my ultimate ceiling, there wasn't much of one, right? And
Mhm.
then when I started meeting other blind people, like one of a few of my best friends are blind lawyers, and I'm like, oh, like, and I met other
Amazing.
blind people that are doing a bunch of amazing things. I'm like, okay, there has to be more out there for me as well. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Like there has to be more of a ceiling. And so when you're talking about, okay, you didn't love accounting at first, but then you started kind of realizing where your place was in it, and then you
Mhm.
came across challenges. Tell me about those challenges and how you were able to work through them.
Okay. I'll tell you about the challenges, but I want to just make a point to what you just said is like
Yes.
proximity, right?
Yeah.
When we're around people who are empowered and have strong mindset and they're moving in the direction that we never even thought possible, that's where we get to go, right?
Hmm.
Those are
Hmm.
the people that we get to surround ourselves with. Because wherever you're at, if you're the sixth person, you're going to be just like the other five people, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that I just wanted to bring that up because that just hit me like right in the heart when you said like the Harvard lawyer.
Yeah. That's my
Uh,
guy.
it's amazing. Amazing. And
You,
it's
I guess
empowering.
and it goes back to something that you said earlier. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know, right?
Mhm.
And so when I thought my ceiling was one thing, because that was what I've seen, I hadn't met any other blind people before. The first blind person I ever met was myself. Hey, Tariq, how's it going? Like that was that was it. That was it. And
Right.
so when that happened, I was like, okay, clearly I'm the only one. I'm in
Um,
high school right now. There's not much like there's all my friends are getting in their cars or they're driving and they're doing these different things. You don't want to see me on the road.
no,
Um,
nobody
I'm not
wants
driving,
that.
you know. However, comma, now there's the self-driving car stuff. Who knows what that looks like
Mhm.
for the future?
Yeah,
Besides the point, I think that there's something to be said for proximity, like you were saying.
totally. Yeah. I love that. That's why I
And
think masterminds and mentorships are so important for growth.
yeah, yeah,
And I didn't know a lot of that. So, yeah, challenges, plenty.
yeah. So
We
those,
got
so
plenty.
yeah, so you're at the accounting firm and you're working your way up. You're kind of liking it, kind of not. But you said the time you liked it the most was when you're going through these challenges, which I think is when most people typically run. So tell me about that.
Probably, yeah. Yeah. Well, that's definitely a systemic thing from my childhood, but we'll get into that
Mm.
another day, probably. Um, so I actually worked for a luxury construction company as their corporate controller. And when I came on board, they had lost like the entire C-suite of the company. All the key players were gone,
Wow.
all in like an instant. And the company was going out of business. Like every week, we were ending the week with if we don't collect X, we can't make payroll equals we're out of business. You know, you can't ask people to work and be like, hey, can I pay in a month? So I think I was telling you this yesterday. I used to go home and cry. I used to cry on the way home because I was so in over my head and didn't know how to help the owner of this company who was such a loving, authentic, genuine human being that was just lost, honestly. And I
Mm.
really like experienced that with him.
Hmm.
But when I would get home, I would be listening to audiobooks, Googling, watching lectures on YouTube, trying to understand like how I can help this company grow. And what I identified, which I think is my superpower now I see it, is that I'm really good at identifying where systems and processes are missing and broken, and
Mm.
like what's in the gap between where we're at and what we want. So I was able to really be a support in that company and just creating like repeatable systems that allow it to be scalable. And we went from, I mean, 1 million a year, which was losing money because
Wow.
the payroll was insane,
Okay.
um, to 2 million, to 4 million, to 8 million, to 10 million. And when I left there on year 8, we had done our record sales of 20 million.
Wow. Wow.
It was
Wow.
amazing.
So
Yeah.
you were at a company where you guys were operating at a loss.
Crying together.
Wow.
What are we
Wow.
gonna do? Yeah.
What was there ever thoughts of like just getting rid of the company at all?
No, nope, not for him. Um,
Wow.
he started it with $100 in his pocket, sleeping on a friend's couch, had a dream. And the thing about him that I recognize is that he was so passionate and all in on his business. He would do whatever it takes to make it work. And when you meet someone like that, you don't walk away. There was something
Mhm.
so empowering and inspiring about someone who just had so much passion that you questioned his sanity, you know?
For sure.
But
For
I mean,
sure.
it was enrolling. I stayed. I stayed and I cried and I stayed because I knew that it was going to be success if he just, shut up and listen to me. Let
Yeah.
me help. And he did. He trusted me.
So you use the word passion, and I think that people have the idea of passion all wrong. I think people are typically, and you're the person that you worked with before, I think is a testament to what I'm about to say. I think people typically have the idea of passion all wrong. I think we're thinking about it as I just need to find this passion of mine. I need to go somewhere and I need to find it. And don't get me wrong, I don't necessarily have a problem with that thought process. However, I think when we're thinking about passion, it's not always about finding your passion, but it's about putting passion into whatever it is you're doing
Mm.
and working with passion, like putting in the effort. Like when I'm working with my clients and I'm coaching somebody about their mindset and about becoming a problem solver, you can feel the passion. Okay. We are talking about very specific things because I want the success for my clients so much. And I want to see you all grow. And I understand the importance of meeting people where they're at and finding them is making those strong, empathetic connections. And so when I think about the story that you just mentioned, there was never a thought of quitting because he was consistently putting passion into whatever it was that he was doing. And it seems like you were really passionate about finding out how to make this a success and making it happen. Would you agree?
I would agree. And I love how you say comma, uh, and also,
Right.
clarity, right?
Mm,
I feel like people are looking outside of themselves for the passion, like you said.
yeah.
And I think that the missing piece for finding passion or going into something with passion is because we're not clear on what we actually want. Like we
Mm,
haven't really looked at the vision of our life and said, this is what I want it to look like, taste like, feel like, smell like. Like this is who I want to be. And then worked backwards to getting it. Because,
mm,
life is so short and so finite, right?
yeah.
And so if we're not living as such that the thing that we're getting up every day doing isn't the thing that we can't wait to do, then what the hell are we doing?
If, when I describe what it is that I do, if someone says, Tariq, like, what do you feel like is your purpose in one word? I say the word is love.
Hmm.
And the
Love that.
reason why, I mean, there's a lot of reasons for it, but this podcast episode isn't about me. It's about both of us. It's about you and what you do. But I think that if I'm not loving what I'm doing, if I'm not loving the people that I'm around, if I'm not loving my situation or X, Y, and Z, like if it's not about love and what I'm doing and the people that I'm around, then what am I doing?
Right.
What are we talking about here? Right?
Hmm.
Like, I think so often people stay stuck in their situations and they feel like not loving their life is okay. I don't want to just like my life. Like I only have this one.
Mhm. I want to be on fire for my life, right?
You know what I'm saying? And I think
Mm.
that so often we think that we have to be okay with the status quo.
Mhm.
So
Hmm.
with your going through your challenges and working through and building that company become something amazing, let's go a bit further back. Okay.
Uh-oh. All right.
We've kind of gone in reverse order here, okay? We went and we had our real estate investing education. We saw the career that you did before. Let's go further back to a younger Vanessa, all right? Were you always on this trajectory of being an accountant, of being a business owner? Like, was this what was your childhood like? Like, how did we get here?
So I think that the childhood that I had is unusual.
Hmm.
And what it did was it allowed me to become a person that seeks more. So I'm just gonna drop it.
Yeah,
Like
please, because
my,
you
my
can't you
I
can't just
know
leave us hanging
I
like that.
haven't thought thing
Unusual.
into that, but like, so my parents were addicted to crack
Mm,
and they had 5 kids, and it was a chaotic, violent house fire of a living situation growing up. It was really, when I look back as an adult, I'm like, damn, it was some fucked up shit. Excuse my language.
mm,
Um, and though, who it shaped me to be was a woman that said, I don't ever want that for myself, for my kids.
wow.
Um, my mom had her first kid at 16, dropped out of high school, totally controlled by a narcissist, fell into drugs to be part of, and never really knew herself, never had independence, never had a job. There were so many things that she didn't get to have.
Mm,
I know I try not to cry because I have empathy for her. I have empathy for both of them as humans because I think that they're both just unhealed kids, you know?
mm,
And
wow.
it took a lot to get to that place where I forgive them.
Wow.
But
Wow.
yeah, so who it had me be was like, I never want to be that woman. I never want to have somebody tell me what I can't do. Like I want to buy this car, I'm buying this car. I want to go to college, I'm going to college. I moved out and got my own apartment when I was 16 years old, and I dropped out of,
Wow.
yeah, I dropped out of high school in 10th grade so I can work and afford my apartment, so I can get out of that situation.
And was this in you're from New York, correct? Is that did this happen in New York
This was
or
in New York. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And
We
is
had
that
a dip in Florida for a little bit, but we were back by the time I was 10.
okay.
So, yeah, in New York. I really just had the blinders on of like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to not be there ever again, you know?
Wow. So I'm just wrapping my head around all this, and I think it would have been so easy for you to say, "This is my reality. This is what I'm supposed to be doing." Kind of going through the addiction that your
Easier.
family went through.
It's so much easier for our ego to stay comfortable and to stay in what we know. So to marry someone who is an addict
Yeah.
and be abused and controlled, totally. I lost a brother to a heroin overdose when he was
Mm,
30.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm one of five. And we all didn't take the same takeaway, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
But then in another way, I think it really hardened me as a person where I was just like, go, 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 like get through college, get the best job, be perfect, be the best, like you have to, do it on your own. That was my motto up until my late 30s, where I was like, oh, something's not right here because I'm lonely. I'm at the top alone. That's how I felt. I really had that like come to Jesus moment of like, something's not working in my life.
Wow.
Mm,
Wow.
yeah.
So I want to commend you because once again, you so easily could have fallen into that, right? And yet you made it say this doesn't have to be my reality. This shouldn't be my reality. I can want more for myself. I think a lot of times people don't realize that they deserve more.
Yeah.
However, comma, this is my big quote these days.
Love that.
Okay. Yeah. However, comma, you knew that you deserved more. However, comma, people don't get what they deserve. They get what they earn.
Ooh, yeah.
And I think it's really important to realize that you understood what you deserved and then you went out and earned it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in the mix of all that, you still have empathy for your parents. Tell me why.
I, you know, I realized, and not on my own, like through, I did a lot of transformational work and coaching, and I've been in the personal development and healing space for a few years. And I go all in on everything I do. So I'm not like, I didn't dip a toe in. Like I flew to LA and spent days on days doing some really intensive transformational stuff. And I really came to a place where I don't see them as evil or malicious or malintent. And I don't think anyone is. Honestly, I truthfully see everyone as you're walking around with your trauma. You know,
Mm,
we're being our trauma. And if we haven't acknowledged it and unraveled some of the stuff and redirected our ship and changed our behavior, if we don't do that, which is so hard, and a lot
mhm,
of people won't do it, if we don't want to face that, we just are going to continually perpetuate the same cycle of trauma over and over and over again. And it's just what was given to them as a kid. So how can I be mad at that? How can I be mad at what you were handed as a kid and that you, for whatever reason, didn't heal?
wow. Wow. You know, I think mental health is definitely more of a priority now than it
God,
was years ago,
I
right?
know.
And I think that there's something to be said for the empathy you're giving your parents for what they for what that was like for you growing up and the grace. Um, when I talk about what I do, I say I'm a problem solving coach. Nobody's life is perfect. So I think it's important to recognize what it means to be a problem solver, right? Um, when it comes to your situation, I think that you're like, okay, I'm gonna learn from this. I'm gonna make me better so that I can go out there and get more for myself and break the break the cycle that I'm currently a part of.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
And I don't know why I'm like this. I don't think I'm smarter than anyone or better. I don't know why I am like this. I just am.
Mm,
My mind wants to understand, solve for, and redirect. Like that's just what my brain does. And that helps me in business so much.
yeah.
Not to pivot off of this topic. I love this topic. I'll talk about childhood trauma all day because all have it, whether or not we want to admit that we're all like living the story of the that we made up when we were kids.
Mm,
But in my
mm,
business, I'm really good at creating systems and solving problems to make things repeatable and like understanding like what's these are the results we're getting. What's in the way? Let's pull it
mm.
apart. Let's
Yep.
figure it out and let's implement something different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It works
Absolutely.
everywhere.
It really does, right? I think a lot of times when people looking at a problem or an issue in their lives or in their business or whatever, they think the problem is A, but A really isn't the problem, right? That's the result of the problem. Let's dig deep.
It's the root. Yeah, I
What's the
always say
root,
that.
right? If you're asking somebody why they're doing something or why this situation happened, typically you got to ask why at least 5 or 6 times before we're getting close, you know?
Totally. Yeah.
So I really I get that a lot. That's really neat. And when I think about my life and what it's meant for me to be a problem solver, very similar to you, and I think this is why we get along, and I feel so in alignment with having this conversation, because with you, it was your journey with your childhood. For me, it was my blindness that came out of nowhere. And for a moment, I was like, is this it? And over time, I was like, it can't be. It can't be. I'm still the same person. You know, my blindness doesn't define me. My eyesight has never defined me. My eyesight didn't define me when I could see before I
Right.
turned 16. I never walked up to anybody and said, "Hey, my name's Tariq Williams. I have perfect vision. How are you?"
I can see you.
Right.
Hello.
Hey, I can see you. What's
Yeah.
going on? You know, so why would I go up to somebody now and say, "Hey, my name's Tariq Williams and I can't see you?"
That is
That
so
makes
good. Yeah.
It makes no sense, right? But yet I thought that it defined me, but it
Mhm.
shaped me to become the example, the empowerment coach, the problem solving coach, the podcaster that you all see today.
I love
And
that.
and you've become the successful real estate investor, and you've taken that trauma and took it in a way that will work for you. And I think that's to be commended.
Thank you so much. I used to
So,
have a lot of shame around it, honestly. I used to
mm,
never tell anybody any of it.
oh,
It was embarrassing. Yeah, I never wanted anyone to know. I just wanted them to see me as successful. But
mhm,
it's so inauthentic, right?
mhm.
There's no story there. There's no journey there.
Yeah, yeah,
There's nothing to overcome and there's really nothing to be proud of if it was all just dumped in my lap like, here you go.
right.
Have a
And
nice
and
life, kid.
and truthfully, it never works like that, right? Like, if you want to build the business or what have you, the fact of the matter is, it's not gonna Amazon Prime and be there
Boom.
within
You're
two
right.
days. It's not.
I expect it to be a shit show. I want it. They say too, like, ask most millionaires how many times they've been broke. It's a lot. You know,
Mm,
go,
mhm.
it's part of the journey. I don't want it to be easy. I'm bored when it's easy.
I want to get back to the real estate investing piece,
Sure.
but I will tell you, people think I'm crazy. Um, well, that was a great way to start this.
Right.
People think I'm crazy. No. So I I have mixed feelings depending on how we're framing the conversation on New Year's resolutions. Okay.
Okay.
I'm not necessarily against it. I'm not necessarily for it. I truly believe that someone needs to do what's right for them, what the work is. And the work that I need to do to become great might be different than the work that you need to do to become great. But that's why I break it down in my courses and really meet people where they're at when it comes to becoming a problem solver in your life.
Mhm.
Now, with my situation this New Year's, I didn't. It's been 2 months. I don't necessarily have a New Year's resolution.
Okay.
However, comma, um, I do have a word of the year.
Oh,
I have too many goals to pick just one for a New Year's resolution, right? I have a lot of things I want to be, I have a lot of things I want to do, and the clock is ticking. Every moment is an opportunity. Opportunity isn't just oh, I have this advantage for this one moment, that's my opportunity. Absolutely not. I think we think that opportunity has to be an advantage, and that's not necessarily true. Opportunity is every moment. It's up to us to take action.
we are
Um,
so aligned. Everything you just said. Everything you just said.
so
Play that back. Everybody play that back. It was so good.
well, wait, just kidding. But anyways, um, when it comes to my word of the year, though, people thought I was very strange for my word of the year, and I had to define it for quite a few people, and I have an episode specifically about it. My word of the year this year is failure
Oh,
because nothing that I've ever gotten in my life has ever come easy. Nothing I've ever gotten in my life has ever come without any struggle. And like any success has never come without any type of tribulation.
Yeah.
And so I told myself that I'm all in. I want to put myself in any situation I possibly can, apply for anything and everything I possibly can, and fail. And not be afraid of failure. Because I know what I'm gonna learn in the process. And it's gonna become a point where my success, the growth of who Tariq is inevitable.
I'm obsessed with you. Yep. Well, you know what they say, what failure really is
Mm,
giving up. So
mm,
if you
mm.
get punched in the face 100 times, but you get up 101, you have not failed. But what I hear you say is you're pushing it to the limit
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah.
You're taking hits to the face.
Oh, for sure.
I
For
love
sure.
it. You have
Fall,
to.
fall
Have
nine.
to.
The famous philosopher, um, Cardi B.
Oh God. Don't do that to me. That hurts me.
But real quick, famous philosopher Cardi B
Right.
is quoted: "Fall 9 times, get up 10."
Oh yeah.
So,
Fine.
um,
We plow the Cardi B reference. Fine.
so, and I think, and the reason why I bring all of that up is because you're an example. You have truly showed in your life that it doesn't have to be. You don't have to go through the water cycle consistently, right? Wash, rinse, repeat, all that. You can change what this is for your family, and that's incredible.
Thank you.
And now you've turned yourself into, once again, you did the accounting thing and was extremely successful in that. And now you're having great success in becoming a real estate investor. I think there's a lot of education that we can talk about when it comes to real estate investing. But if you were to have a conversation with 10-year-old Vanessa
Oh,
and
don't
say,
make me
hey,
cry, Tariq.
and say, hey, how are you today? What does that conversation look like? And how do you encourage her to keep going when she maybe made some friends in Florida and
Yeah.
then now is back in New York and it's probably freezing outside?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
tell me, like, can you envision that where you were and what that conversation looks like between you now and you
The
when you were
version
there?
of me now, what I would say to her, oh my God. We moved a lot when I was a kid.
Mm,
Oftentimes in the middle of the night. Oftentimes it was like, you can't bring your stuff. We are going now. Let's go. And I would leave my friends and my things, and I would show up at a school. And I know we had like bad clothes, and like we were like those kids that you see when you're like, some shit's going down. And I was just ashamed of myself. And I think what I would say to my little self is, this doesn't define you, you know?
mm, mm,
You can still be kind, you can still love, you can still be in contribution of others. You don't have to have a lot to give a lot.
mm.
Um, yeah, and I would just say, hang in there, babe, because you're gonna rock shit when you get older. So don't worry. You know?
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. There was a lot of shame, and and it didn't belong to me.
Mm, mm, mm. But it seems that you've taken it and it's shaped you into someone that we could all learn from.
Mm. Thank you.
Someone that we can all learn from. Um, the person that wants to get into real estate investing today, what would you tell them? How do they get into it? How do they start? How do people get in touch with you?
Oh. I prefer using Instagram at visionary underscore Vanessa.ny. It's just the platform I'm on the most. I know they say you should kind of spread out whatever. I'm on Facebook too, Vanessa Johnson.
Mm,
Yeah, I love that question because there are so many ways You can be the person who finds the deal. You can be the person who finds the money. You can be the person who brings a team. You can be the money. It's really depends on what your goals are. Easiest way, if you have it, is to be a lender because you can passively invest. So that's how I got in. We actually haven't hit this one. I got in, I lent $100,000 to fund a renovation.
Okay.
It was all passive. So we have a standard process where we secure it with a promissory note. We back it with a lien on the property. So God forbid, I mean, we've never foreclosed on anything, but you have that security of having a lien on the house. So if anything goes wrong, there's an insurance policy with the lender's name on it. So everything's secured, insured, and protected. I lent that $100,000 for 6 months. At the end of the project, I got my $100,000 back and $6,000 in 6 months. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I think in my savings account, I had made like $400 that, previous year.
Yeah.
And I was like, keep it, put it back in, put the 106 in, like, let's make this compound, let's make this grow.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything. I just went, here you go. And it was cool because you can be as involved in it as you want. You can come visit the properties, you can get photos of the properties, you can walk the property with us, we can guide you into getting your own properties. It is a little tricky, I'm not gonna lie, like the acquisitions part, dealing direct with distressed sellers, it's an art. It's an art form of how to lead a conversation and really understand somebody's pain and motivation and be able to support them with the solutions that we have to offer. But easiest way is to be the lender.
Okay.
Or find someone who has the funds, raise the capital, and then you can joint venture together if you're new.
Okay.
Anybody who has questions for me, we're down to popping people right into our network. So if you can bring one of those things, we really like to work with agents too, because agents are really great because they're seeing homes, they're having those conversations. So we like to teach them what we're looking for in terms of a house, because if you can bring me the house, you're going to get paid from the seller to list it or bring it. And then you'll get paid by us when we flip it and relist it. So you can get, depending on how many buyers you can bring to the operation, you can get 4 commissions if you're an agent in one transaction, which is really dope. And I think that's a like undervalued hack for agents is that you can make at least 2, but up to 4 different commissions for bringing all of the people together in an investment transaction. And they happen quicker. We close in less than 30 days most times. So it's just, that's a life hack for agents in general. But yeah, we're open to supporting anybody with any questions they have, or even if people want a JV on things, that means joint venture.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we're open.
Wow. Okay. I think there's so much to learn.
Yeah.
And
it's a fire hose. It really becomes a fire hose.
I could ask like 12 more questions. So I'm sorry, this is not the real estate podcast, the real estate investing podcast, everybody. And I easily could have I want to turn it into that today, but we completely get there. But
I'll come back.
we're going to have to do it for sure. I just need to understand, because you're so knowledgeable on this, and I have a couple more questions before we go.
Sure.
You mentioned the challenges that you had while the accounting firm, and how you built it up to be something better than it was when they were struggling and couldn't make payroll. And now it was such a successful, and when you left, it was 20 million they were able to make. You could have stayed there and you felt comfortable.
I know.
Well, I know.
What is wrong with you? Are you going to say that next?
Oh, scratch that. Shouldn't say that. Oh, no. How did you make this pivot to real estate investing if you were doing so well in your current job? And how did you do this change? Why did you make this change? How did you get into it?
I was building up somebody else's dream. And even though it was easy, convenient, 20 minutes from my house, I used to ride my motorcycle to work every day. I can take all the twisty back roads. I showed up whenever I wanted. I left. I took 5 vacations a year. Like, it was dream situation.
Wow.
But I felt so unfulfilled. I felt so, like I said, I was building someone else's dream, not mine,
Mm.
you know?
Mhm.
And I miss it sometimes because it was easy. It was clock in, clock out. And now you can't see where I'm sitting, but I'm sitting at my dining room table. I'm here from sun up to sundown sometimes. I mean, I did my hair for you. I know. But I mean, and this is
If you're not watching, if you're listening on Apple Podcast, Spotify, the list goes on. But if you're on Apple Pod, Spotify, your web browser, that's where the top 3 places are. If you're listening on your Alexa device, you're missing out on the great hair that Vanessa is showing us
today.
So you need to come to YouTube now, and wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, come on to YouTube, because now Vanessa's upset with you guys for not.
This hair deserves the spotlight. It was done today. It was washed and all. But yeah, and that's no complaint. Like,
Sure.
I get to be home and live on my terms now. Like, I get to wake up every morning. This is what I do. I make a coffee. I sit on the couch. I meditate for 10 minutes. Either it's a breath work or a visioning or gratitude. I write in my gratitude journal. I work out, shower, and then I start my day. Then when I say the day starts is when the day starts.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, it's not all like sunshine and rainbows, because I'll be at this table till 9 o'clock at night sometimes. Like, I can't stop. There's a lot, but it's mine, and it's my failure or my success. It's everything is what I'm creating. And I have a team, and people rely on me, and it just feels good to be doing something that feels really important to my heart, Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's something to be said, because there's a lot of people on here listening right now. And yeah, we're talking to you that you're creating somebody else's dream, and you're still sleeping on your own.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm 40, like, time to wake up, get everything you want,
yeah.
Get everything you want, because I can, as long as I say so. Nothing's in my way. Is it going to be easy? No. Do I want it to be easy? Fuck no. But I know it's going to be worth it, because it's something that I've created, I've manifested, I've gone after, I've taken the punches in the face for, that's what I want.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want the real life, the good stuff.
I guess if you've gotten anything from this podcast episode, everyone, I think the main thing is understanding that you can live your dream.
Yes.
You don't have to live somebody else's. You don't have to be, a chess piece in somebody else's dream. You can literally set goals and take action on those goals to live yours. Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, so
Vanessa,
good.
This is incredible.
I know. I loved it. Thank you.
I like to always end with one word, though.
Okay.
One word that describes what your career looks like in 5 years.
Ooh. Freedom. Freedom. Time freedom. Money freedom. Freedom to give generously. Freedom to love. Freedom to just be my real self. Freedom to do whatever I want.
And it's out there for you.
Oh,
and it's out there for everybody here listening.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Vanessa, this has been incredible. So much value, so much education. We've definitely changed some lives today. I can't wait for people to listen to this episode. And thank you all so much for listening. Anything you want to leave us with tonight, Vanessa?
Yeah, just I'm open to support anybody who has any questions. Reach out to me, shoot me a DM on Instagram. That's where you'll get the best response from me, at visionary_Vanessa.ny. Thank you so much. You look beautiful.
It was our pleasure. And we discovered this the other day. You're Visionary Vanessa. Not only I am Vision of Hope, but we are Vision of Hope. This is the Speak Your Vision podcast. I am your problem-solving coach. Let's have a conversation. Let's make it happen. Not only I am Vision of Hope, but we are Vision of Hope. Thank you all for listening.